Welcome everybody to Flat Earth Nation. It is a Flat Earth Nation and Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. That's the only way to do it. Fair and honest way. Look at that. Hobos, medicine, and dirty cops. Well, that ought to cover it. Let's get to it. We talk about the hobos first. I decided, why not? We got the hobos listed first in the title. First off, set your mind on these. What is the deal? This is my second video on hobos, and I'm gonna just started, Luther. So glad you're here. We're gonna be talking about the hobo code, hobos. You know, not so much the fact that there's a hobo code, but why? Why were there people that would be hobos? Hobos who used that code for decades. Why did they need a code? Why did they hit the rails? Was it that I just don't want to work? I thought that's, there used to be unaddicted hobos that would hold signs up saying, I will work for food, and things like that. That was it is. Why did they ride the rails? When and why did they live outside society by choice? Who were they? Did they do it for fun and adventure? Or is it a type of rebellion? Or was it an inner moral choice that, look, I can't pay taxes to this government. I can't act like this is okay. I think that they were people like a lot of us are going to be, of like, well, we don't trust the Democrats or the Republicans or anything else. It says here from Luther, Yaz Wills Soaring, my uncle on my mom's side was a hobo. Pretty much, he just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. Probably a common story on the hobo situation. Let's just put a little share on it here. We'll just roll out what is the hobo code. It doesn't seem that it was, that bad. An ethical code was created by Tourist Union number 63 at its 1889 National Hobo Convention. Wow. This code was voted upon as a concrete set of laws to govern the nationwide hobo body. Decide your own life. Don't let another person run or rule you. Number 2, when in town, always respect the local law and officials and try to be a gentleman at all times. 3, don't take advantage of someone who is in a vulnerable situation. Locals or other hobos. Always try to find work, even if temporary, and always seek out jobs nobody wants. By doing so, you will not only help a business along, but ensure employment should you return to that town again. 5, when no employment is available, make your own work by using your added talents at crafts. Do not allow yourself to become a stupid drunk and set bad examples for local treatments of other hobos. When jungling in town, respect handouts. Do not wear them out. Another hobo will be coming along who will need them as bad, if not worse, than you. Always respect nature is number 8. Do not leave garbage where you are jungling. If in a community jungle, always pitch in and help. 10, try to stay clean and boil up wherever possible. 11, when traveling, Ride your train respectfully. Take no personal chances. Cause no problems with the operating crew or host railroad. Act like an extra crew member. 12. Do not cause problems in a train yard. Another hobo will be coming along who will need passage through that yard. 13. Do not allow other hobos to molest children. Expose all molesters to authorities. They are the worst garbage to infest any society. 14. Help all runaway children and try to induce them to return home. Number 15. Help your fellow hobos whenever and wherever needed. You may need their help someday. 16. If present at a hobo court and you have testimony, give it, whether for or against the accused. Your voice counts. Tell the truth. And here's some signs of the hobo code. I think we're going to look at that in just a second, a little more in detail from maybe the Wikipedia. Cyber hobo is where I got this link from. Now, here's some pictures of that. You know, if there is no work and you have some free time, put your mind to the crafts and then sell them. You know, embellish something, make it a little special. So that's a tramp art, hobo art. There you go. Nice little frame. Looks like you got some talent going on there. We've got buffalo nickels. Let's look at those buffalo nickels. Hobo nickel. $19.36. You got a little talent, you know, make a hobo nickel. Might get a free meal out of it somewhere. 1937. And there was a brief period of time where they tried to, you know, make buffalo nickels, help the Native Americans. And then that went away, just like after the Civil War that they said was to free the slaves. A few years later, they said, this Reconstruction is going to be better. Let's say you can't vote anymore. Let's do this and that. Let's change back, because why? They can't stop us. Hey, that's not a real Lincoln penny. Let's look at what, you know, the hobo nickel. That's a British penny. A little bit of embellishment there. You don't have any work, just make it. Let's see what the Wikipedia says about hobos. A hobo is a migrant worker in the northwestern parts of the United States. The term originated in the western, probably northwestern United States around 1890. No, we already saw they had a convention in the 1880s. The bums were generally regarded as related, but not distinct. Tramps, hobos, okay. A hobo travels and is willing to work. A tramp travels, but avoids work if possible. A bum neither travels or works. Unknown origin of the term. The only certain detail about the origin of the word is the word was first noticed in American English around 1890. Well, they must have missed that hobo convention of 1889. Where was it? St. Louis? Hoboy was a greeting, maybe? Hobo, come on, we don't know. Well, it says here, with the hobos first appeared, it's unclear when they appeared on the railroading scene. With the end of the American Civil War in the 1860s, many discharged veterans returning home began hopping freight trains Others looking for work on the American frontier followed the railways west aboard freight trains in the late 1800s. The number of hobos increased greatly during the Great Depression era of the 1930s. Why would people decide they don't want to pay taxes, work at a job, travel? I just don't know. I think, could it be tied into, when did the polio and the vaccinations start to, come into effect? And was there always some people that said, hey, this ain't working out the way you said? So here's some of the symbols anyway. Ooh, watch out for the vicious dog lives here. Owners will give to get rid of you. Watch out, barking dog. Freshwater safe campsite. A friendly lady here, looks like a cat lady. Doctor won't charge here. Well, those days are over. A kind gentleman lives here. That's a mailbox. That's where they'd put them, I guess. The tramp. See, he didn't want to work. So we've all learned about them, and I think it's time that we take another look at the hobos and do look at why would they choose to live outside society? Because as we know, many of us have made that choice and are going to be making that choice. For some, it was taxes. As simple as I don't want to pay taxes where my money is going to be subsidizing abortions or the military or whatever it is that, why is my money going to that? Especially when you don't make that much and they want 30-40% of it. Because if they only take, 30% out of your check, that doesn't mean that you're not getting hit with almost, what is it? Your tax on your gasoline. That it's almost as much for the taxes as the gasoline. Your tax on, everything you buy. It's because we're out of control now, and we were out of control then. Well, we'll leave that hobo tab open for a while. I want to take us now to we'll look at Ella, the second part. We're going to look at medicines. Not that, we might get back to hobos. Depends on if I get some people in and want to ask about them and talk about them. But now I am going to we're going to switch over to medicine. Physician, heal thyself. Let me add that I am going to be taking it to physician, heal thyself. Ella will cover a lot of the Bible verses with, the physician and thing like that. I'm going to look up and go into a little bit more of a detail on the woman who was cured from excessive bleeding and the faith that involved, and the fact that the Bible is clear in saying that for 15 years she's had this, and guess what? She had depleted her life savings paying physicians to cure her, but nothing helped. And isn't that, boy, why do we need insurance today? Why are people staying on the job? They need insurance because one sickness and everything you work for is gone. That's one another. They're fear porn things. So enough of that. Let's look at Ella's video.
Okay, hey everyone, how's it going? Right, I'm just hearing a lot of people talk about medicine lately, Is taking medicine a sin? No. Doctors and the medicine they provide are to be seen as God's blessing. Luke, who was a disciple, was a doctor as well. Taking medicine does not mean that you're putting your trust and faith in Christ. God can use medicine to heal us. We live by faith and not by sight. God is always working behind the scenes, working. Pray that God will heal you. Trust in Him alone that He will help you. And always remember to use, never abuse. Prayer is the best medicine. God is the best doctor. God heals and the doctor takes the free. Benjamin Franklin. What does the Bible say? Jeremiah 8:22. Is there no medicine in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why is there no healing for the wounds of my people? Ezekiel 47:11-12. Yes, its swamps and marshes will not be healed. They will be left for salt. All kinds of tree providing food will grow along both banks of the river. Their leaves will not wither and their fruit will not fail. Each month they will bear fresh fruit until the water comes from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be used for food and their leaves for medicine.
Just breaking in here for 1 second. I was fascinated with and I looked it up, and I might even have a couple of tabs over, but they will be left for salt. Yet its swamps and marshes will not be healed. They will be left for salt. That's intriguing.
Revelation 22:2. He flowed down the center of the main street. One on each side of the river grew a tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, with a fresh crop for each month. The leaves were used for medicine to heal the nations. Isaiah 38:21. Isaiah said to Hezekiah's servants, make an ointment from the figs and spread it all over the boil, and Hezekiah will recover. 2 Kings 27. Then Isaiah said, make an ointment from the figs. So Hezekiah's servants spread the ointment over the boil, and he recovered. Jeremiah 51:8. But suddenly Babylon too has fallen. Weep for her. Give her medicine. Perhaps she can be yet healed. Isaiah 1:6. You are battered from head to foot, covered with bruises, welts, and infected wounds, without any soothing ointments or bandages. Alcohol was used as medicine. 1 Timothy 5:23. Don't drink only water. You ought to drink a little wine for the sake of your stomach, because you are sick as often. Luke 10:33-34. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged him. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. Proverbs 31:6. Give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those who are bitterly distressed. People went to doctors in the Bible. Matthew 9:12. When Jesus heard this, he said, healthy people don't need a doctor, sick people do. Colossians 4:14. Luke, the beloved doctor, sends his greetings, as so does Demas. Job 13:4. You, however, smear with lies. You are worthless physicians, all of you. Genesis 52. Then Joseph told the physicians who served him to embalm his brother's body, so Jacob was embalmed. Continue to trust in the Lord. He is the only one that really heals. He is just does behind the scenes. Psalms 103:2-3. Bless the Lord, my soul, and never forget any of his benefits. He continues to forgive all your sins, and he continues to heal your diseases. Job 5:18. Because through his wounds, he then applies bandages. Though he strikes, his hands still heal. Psalms 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted, binding up their injuries. 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Reminders. Proverbs 17:22. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. And
here's another interruption. I want to have you think about Proverbs 17:22. You know you love the Bible. You know you trust the Bible. You love Jesus Christ. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up bones. Be of good cheer. When the 2 disciples were taken to prison and beaten, the other prisoners were amazed that they were singing psalms and giving praises of glory because they were found worthy to suffer for Jesus Christ. What is this? Is it finned up? It just reminds me of Finned app, so I want to see it. Wow, this is a playlist. It looks good. Man, you should go over. This looks like a really good, that's the way to do it. Make playlists on your channel and stuff to make it easy. Way to go, Ella. That is great. They're right there. Because a lot of these things are probably amazing, but you can't really show them a lot, but you need to watch them because like this guy here, he'll give you a copyright strike in a minute. No doubt about it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ella. You know you're greatly appreciated. You deserve more than your 1,000 subscribers by many, many more times, and you will get them because we are all not despising the days of small beginnings. So that's enough advertisement for her playlist, but it's pretty cool. Oh, she's already wrapped up. We'll just finish. Go ahead and finish it up, Ella. You only got 5 more seconds.
3. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up.
There you go. Thank you. What's my next one here? What is this? They are given for salt. Oh, yeah. I was looking up that. Will not become fresh. They will be left for salt. What did I get from that? I know it says salt. They will be given over, but not a lot of info there. And this type of to salt, hold on. I know that salt is used in the Old Testament way more than one time. So let's remember lamila, and just see what's going on here with 44:17 salt. 27 times. Let's see what it's spelled like down here. It looks like the milah is the salt. Straight up salt. Pillar of salt. Oh yeah, you better, so that the salt of the covenant, you better put that salt in your offerings. All your offerings you shall offer salt. Oh, did you know that? The word before this? You shall season, well, and salt. You shall not allow it to be lacking. Don't allow the salt to be lacking. Salt's a great thing. Physician, heal thyself, according to Wikipedia. Drop this back over here now. Sometimes quoted, Medicae cura te ipsum is an ancient proverb appearing in Luke chapter 4, verse 23. There, Jesus, the Lord and Savior, is quoted as saying, ye will surely say unto me this proverb, physician, heal thyself. Whatsoever we have heard done in Capernaum, do also here in thy country. So similar proverbs at the same time in other Jewish literature. Physician, physician, heal thy own limp. Whatever. The moral of the proverb in general, containing within itself, is a criticism of hypocrisy. It is an attempt to one's own defects before those in others. Hide one's own defects. Did they leave? Is that a real containing within itself a criticism of hypocrisy? So let's read it without it'll make more sense without the comment. The moral of the proverb in general is to attend to one's own defects before those in others. Kind of like take the mote out of your own eye. But let's just find that woman healed issue of blood. Matthew, let's see. Let's go with the Luke 8 then. Luke chapter 8. Now, when Jesus returned, the crowd welcomed him, for they were all waiting for him. And there came a man named Jairus, who was a ruler of the synagogue, and falling at Jesus' feet, he implored him to come to his house. For he had an only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she was dying. As Jesus went, the people pressed around him. And there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years. And though she had spent all of her living on physicians, she could not be healed by anyone. She came up behind him and touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately her discharge of blood ceased. And the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, said, Who is it that touched me? When all denied it, Peter said, Master, the crowd surrounds you and are pressing in on you. But Jesus said, someone touched me, for I perceive that power has gone out from me. And when the woman saw that she was not hidden, she came trembling and falling down before him, declared in the presence of all the people why she had touched them and how she had been immediately healed. And the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Because she had 12 years of enough, spent all her money. There was one hope left. And she set her mind. She made an intention. like those people who wanted to have Peter's shadow fall on him as he went to the temple and they were healed. They went there. They did that waiting and expecting. She had had enough. She finally said, I've got to go. And if I could just touch Jesus, she came up behind him, touched the fringe of his garment, and immediately the discharge of blood ceased. Now, what was that touch? Was it just like any type of touch? And Jesus came and touched them. They were healed. Who touched me? She said. Who touches me? And he touched the ear of Malchus, who was in on the arrest. And Peter had just, showed that he wasn't just a fisherman, but he pulled out his sword and with the flip of his wrist, detached the earlobe of the Malchus, who was there to arrest Jesus, and said, who else wants to mess with Jesus? And that's when the Lord said, Simon, put away your sword. This is a very, very special touch. She went looking for Jesus, but in reality, he touched her. It was that healing touch of Jesus Christ, along with the healing effects of, as a man or woman thinketh in their heart, so they are. So welcome, Ella. How are ya? 2:30 in the morning, just listening. How about that? Hola, hola, hola. Hey, Mr. Joel. How you doing, man? Ah, yes. Much love. Anybody want to come in? They can come on in. We can go back and talk about hobos. We can talk about thumbnails. Did you see the thumbnail on this one? This video, Lady Justice peeking out of her, not only is she blind, she's deaf and she's dumb. All right. I don't want to get into the politics and stuff anymore, but I'll bet Hillary has a lot of doctors and I'll bet they prescribe her a lot of things that's not really healing her. She's crazy. Let's face it. We just went through 4 years of baloney, all trying to cover up the fact that Hillary's emails and all those subpoenas that should have been delivered it was never a part of it. Because guess what? The people in power knew that Jimmy Savile was a homosexual pedophile murderer. But they didn't care because you can't, look who he was hanging out with. He was the friend of the royal family at the hip. And that's why when he died and all those other people, they came out and what did they go? Oh, I can't believe it. Those conspiracy people were true. Jimmy Savile was a homosexual murdering pedophile. Right? Oh, good. Come on in, Ella. Let's talk about it. Let's just go over some of this stuff because we got to figure it out. We're in the time where, rightly or wrongly, that's, oh, I want to keep this channel as long as I can. I don't want to get banned for saying anything. But there are people that, for medical procedures right now, are willing to go be hobos. Not thinking that it's like, gee, I never worked a day in my life. I don't have any talent. I just don't want to go against my moral conscience and do something that I don't think is good for me, my body, my life, my walk with God, what's in my mind, because as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. These are all different things that are happening again right now. And as many of you, there wasn't a lot of warning for this show, but I only wrote down uno page. My second video on the hobo code. not so much the code itself, but why? Why were there people, hobos, who used a moral code for decades? Why did they need a code? Why did they hit the rails and leave? When and why did people live out society by choice recently? And not, if you want to say like they do in Wikipedia, there's hobos, tramps, and bums. Hobos can have the signs, I will work for food. And they had the moral code that I left open and we'll go back over if that is interesting to you, or you can go back. But who were they? Why did they do it? Were there, there were a lot of things. And I want to say, just as a, off topic here, but when did they invent that, the cure for polio? When was the president in a wheelchair and nobody in the United States, the unwashed hoi polloi, knew it? There obviously had to be people seeing him in and out, wearing braces, in a wheelchair, but it didn't make the press. That didn't make the press. Maybe there were whispers, but we are supposed to believe that nobody knew the president was in a wheelchair, and he was president. He got elected 4 times, 3 full terms. That's 12 years at least. So we had that hobo code coming up. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Then, the second part was medicine, and then dirty cops. They all tie together because we're all living in that age right now. And they will twist it. Defund the police. That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. But we all know, you dig into the police, you scratch that sore, the mob runs the police. We're going to be looking at some examples of things that, shouldn't have happened in the police force. And it's all, is it just a trope, a genre of movies about bad cops when there really aren't? Oh my goodness. In Chicago alone, we're going to be looking at Drew Peterson because he's, a recent egregious something of a sergeant who basically didn't take orders from anybody, that gave orders. It almost reminded me of the movie of Richard Gere, where he was just a corporal, but he ran the show based on blackmail, the mafia, and everything else. Don't mess with our boy, because he was put there in power to, what did Lenin or Marx, whoever says, how do you, control the opposition? You lead the opposition. You make it a straight up Hegelian dialectic where it's one or the other. You're a Republican or a Democrat. And one wants to just feed the poor with your money, and the other one wants to say, we've got to make this work. We are kind of trying, you don't work, you don't eat, we're strict, easy, kind, mommy, we love you, it's okay, here's a daddy, discipline, men, good, bad. Who knows what's in their mind, right? Who knows what's in their mind? But we are seeing more and more that it is our faith, your faith, the faith given to us by God, that in our day-to-day lives are going to. And I had a talk with Randy today. I didn't see one of his comments. It would have been good for last night, because, we're talking a lot that right now is a time of separation in life. Ella went through it the same day with her mom as Scotty did, and we talked last night. And it does seem as Randy, and other people are reminding, did God say that he came to bring unity to all families, or did he say the exact opposite? Let's keep this one open a new one in here. Let's just ask a question of the computer. Who came to bring Why Jesus said he came to bring division. Yeshua said he came to bring division. Northern Seminary, following Jesus will bring division. Why did Jesus come? To bring division. Here's a good one. How did Jesus bring division? We'll take that up un momento. In the meantime, I want to see if that's Joel or Ella. It's Ella. The Earth's history was confusing. Welcome, Ella. How are you?
Hello, good morning, good evening. How you going? Yeah,
Well, thank
getting
you
there.
for your good work. And I do want to say I am, as much as we are all prepared and expect it when a family member goes, it's never easy. It always hurts. And my sympathies are with you, Ella.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really hard. I never thought I'd have my mother do that. I never thought I'd see her do that to me. We've been through a lot. Me and my mum, basically, mum stuck by me when the times were hard. My mum was the only one that stuck by me when the times were hard. And
Well, your mom had a hard life. You guys were both stuck, kind of like, having to lean on each other as a young woman and your mother in that situation and everything else.
yeah,
Nothing's been easy for either one of you.
yeah, it's not easy for her. And she's been at seeing doctors and everything with her heart problems. And next month she's got to go in and they'll put a camera in to see how bad it is, to see whether she needs just a stent or a pacemaker. I wouldn't be surprised if she needs a pacemaker, given that the situation and everything, just looking at her history. So yeah, it's very concerning that I can't even visit her, you know.
And it can't help her either.
No,
It can't help her either.
no, it's not. And it's just the division amongst, like the political stuff, and they're saying, oh, it's not forced, it's not, we're not making you do it, but the coercion, to me, it's forced. You know what I mean? It's coercion.
It's
It's
like they almost leave them with no options when they, here, you have to sign this release. It says if we accidentally kill you, your family can't sue us,
mm,
and things like that. It's like, oh, well, I guess I have to,
yeah,
What
yeah.
made you decide to post about medicine, if you don't mind my asking? We're a small community here because I woke up thinking about, I was going to do medicine and hobos, and this whole thing with the dirty cops just was an add-on.
What made me do it was people questioning medicine, and their beliefs. People relying too much on medicine and not relying enough on the prayer is, like they believers in the Lord and everything, but they're not trusting the Lord in healing them. Like when my son was 2 year old, I was told if I didn't have surgery and have chemo and everything, I'd be dead within 2 years. Well, he's 14, almost 15 now. I put my faith in the Lord. I said, if that's what I'm to die of, that's what I'm to die of. I'm not going to interfere. I put my faith in the Lord. If I'm to be here, the Lord will heal me. My dad had a pacemaker put in, and his heart was healed. The pacemaker doesn't get used. It's unreal. Like he went from the bottom chambers not working to the pacemaker only working about sort of 3%, 4% of the time. So your body can be healed. It's your positive thinking, I think, has a lot to do with it. You think negatively, you're going to be negative. I was listening to a bloke earlier this morning talking about it, and he said something similar about everyone in fear, the low vibrational hum. They are so afraid, and basically these jabberoos have become the new religion. And it shouldn't be like that.
No. What I think is, and I've been talking about hobos and everything like that, is as they continue to stretch this out with the boosters and everything else, I think there is going to be buyer's remorse.
It's already happening here. Yeah. 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 People are
People are going
saying,
to regret it. They're going to resent and regret the fact that they were sold the fact that there's, it's worth the risk. This is going to be so bad that if you don't do it, and you might, this or that might happen, but boy, it's going to be worse if you don't. For everybody, they're going to realize manipulation, shame, fitting in, peer
yeah,
pressure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that always goes bad when people realize, wow, I got talked into something again, and it's going to, hopefully enough is enough. They're going to look around at, who did this to us? It's the usual suspects. It's the Republicans, Democrats working together. It took basically, the most popular Republican, according to the world, of Donald Trump to do the Operation Jumpstart. Was that it?
Warp speed, Operation Warp Speed.
Warp speed,
Yeah.
and then they could pretend, well, we don't want his vaccine. We only want these other ones. But there was no doubt Republicans and Democrats together had to agree on one thing.
Oh, yeah. Behind closed doors.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
there's going to be a new social outcast system. We've seen it before.
I'm seeing it happening now in Australia. Like here in Queensland, once they reach 80% double dosed, they'll take the mask wearing off, but the ones aren't allowed to go cinemas, shopping centres, all those kind of places, football stadiums. They can't attend a hospital or a disability place, a gym or a nursing home unless it's emergency, which it doesn't affect me. I don't go to cinemas, pubs, or anything like that. And the only time I go to hospital is when I'm on death's doors. I refuse to go there. I absolutely hate the places. I call them butchers. They do more harm than good. So, and especially at the way things are at the moment, I'd rather just stay well clear of them. So, but they did say, the boosters are already starting, and so many people are saying, I'm not going to be boosted. And then everyone's saying, oh, well, you now become the unjabbed. You're anti-jab. You're anti-jab. Whereas I'm not anti-jab. I mean, I would rather have something that has the actual science, that hasn't been rushed through, that has the trial data of 5, 10, 15 years, so we can see what's going to happen. A lot of women are having menstrual problems, and here in Australia, I've noticed a lot of the like the university ones and the doctors and all that. A lot of younger ones in those professions are actually putting their eggs and sperm on ice because they've been told it can affect your reproductive system. So it's
Wow.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Ellen, I expect any day soon. Like I made a quick video about the place they're building to hold everyone, and that's going ahead really fast. And I expect to be rounded up one day soon. But whether you're jabbed or not jabbed, it's going to happen regardless. I think the jabs are just an excuses for martial law, to keep us distracted while they bring in the one world system. That's what's happening. The one world system is being brought in.
The one world system is here, man.
Yeah, yeah, and with the police and all that, the way they're treating everyone. Once the government is finished with what they want to do with us, they will be the last on the scrap pile. They are no different to us. They will be treated like us when they're just useful idiots. That's what we call them.
Right.
Useful idiots.
I want to show you something here because I know it. I know I can imagine you're probably very tired. So I'm going to jump ahead to one of the tabs that was going to be later because I had this. Where's this? I hope I can find it again. There's this one quote, and I wonder if I got it from here. internationalism is a political principle that advocates greater political or economical cooperation among states and nations. So when did the nation, you got to have nations if you're going to deceive the nations. It is associated with the political movements and ideologies, but can also reflect a belief system or movement in itself. And there was one quote in here that I highlighted, this internationalism. And if I can't find it, I will, this is probably pretty close to the quote that brought me to it, was that, it was this guy. Yeah, maybe I even have it highlighted, because I was thinking of some bad cops, and I know that there was a murder in the Dirksen building, and then the Dirksens just got real interesting as I was studying them. Now, and in the section about an Everett Dirksen, and we'll get to him later, as a senator, Dirksen reversed his early isolationism to support the internationalism, now get this, of Republican President Eisenhower and Democratic, it should say, nominee President JFK. So you had a Republican, Democrat, that was retiring, and now it's going to be between Nixon and carry on because Nixon was Eisenhower's vice president, or the new one. But what did they have in common? They both wanted to stop isolationism and start the support of internationalism. That's 1964. That's the Fu Manchus. That's the Manchurian Candidate. That is a known mafia crooner, Frank Sinatra, who was, JFK's best friend, playing the part of the guy that's trying to expose, oh no, they're going to kill the president and start a new planned government. It just seems too coincidental, because, internationalism, that started with something called the Anti-Corn Law of 1846. And would you look at how they met in 1846? I thought that they were all poor, coming here to build their wood cabins, and eventually they discover, well, look at a well-lit building. It could, oil lamps. What's burning up there? Not candles. It's just crazy.
It's unreal.
It's the United Nations as internationalism, and we have, nothing infuriates me. Oh, wait, that's not true. More than people who want to prop up the Roman Catholic Kennedy, because they're and Eisenhower, who are going, and even Eisenhower, they're going like, oh, he warned us about the military industrial complex. He was the military industrial complex. He is. There would have been no banana wars or banana republics without United Fruit and the CIA, of which he was in charge of.
Correct. Yeah, we looked into that a few months back, didn't we? Correct.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So internationalism took off, and I saw something just yesterday that when you talk about, there's been something like 120 strikes since the pandemic, and all of the essential workers, the nurses, the people that made the cheap food like Kellogg's, they only want to recover the cost concessions that they had to give up because we were having a bad time in our government. And now they want those back because they were essential workers, and they're saying no. And they're going, well, wait, you made 25% more profit than you did the quarter before. When we did this, you can afford to pass on the money to the workers. And right now, I forget the video I watched, but he talked about this one. I think it was a Eclipsed healthcare system or a Fritz healthcare system, not one of the big ones, but they have 18,000 nurses. They're not going to give them a 1% raise to those essential workers.
No.
Instead, they're going to hire what they call scabs, non-union workers, to come in and fill those spots at a cost of like 18
A third, yeah.
a day or a week. And it would be cheaper after a week to have just paid the employees. But no, to them, it's a moral principle that they can't give in to the workers.
Yeah, well, that's what they've done over here in Australia in the mines. What they did is they sacked everyone, right, with the enterprise bargaining agreement because they wanted a pay rise, because they had bumper years for 10 years. They were making billions of dollars. The CEOs were getting paid huge pay rises, like 400% pay rise each year, and the workers only wanted like a 3% pay rise, and they couldn't get it, so they sacked them all. And then they turned around and said, all right, well, we'll hire you back, but we're going to hire you back at this. And they were going to get half their wages of what they were getting originally. And then they said, if you don't like that, we'll just bring in more of the unskilled workers from overseas and train them up, because they're happy to take it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if they work all night at the Blue Sky Mine, there'll be food on the table tonight.
That's
there
right.
Be food for tomorrow. So tomorrow he's got to go work back at the Blue Sky Mine.
Yeah.
They've got us all living paycheck to paycheck, and we're supposed to be saying, if I just work harder, maybe I can get a couple of paychecks ahead, and I'm living the life. I've got a TV. I'm planning on buying a new Xbox for Christmas. My kids are going to love me for a while, maybe.
Yeah, until the next craze comes out.
But we still have to go back to, remember I typed in, what did I type in? I typed in a search question, didn't I? Where was that one? I don't even know.
Internationalism.
Yeah, well, I typed in also, who came to bring division? And the Bible said, oh, here it is. I typed in the Google search, who came to bring division? Jesus said he came to bring division. Joshua said he came to bring division. Why did Jesus come? To bring division. Everybody knows it, but nobody has to like it. It doesn't, Jesus didn't say, hey, you're going to be divided from your family and love it. No, he knows it breaks our heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it must happen. As I say to people now, like, they're so in fear. Everything that's happening must happen. It has to happen. As much as it breaks my heart to be torn away from my family, it's also lessons that we as a person, as an individual, has to go through. It's something that we need to learn. We need to learn to get back to basics with the Lord, the Bible, and our family. Learn to love our brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with Scotty last night, and we were going over your situation and how it parallels his situation, and probably other people in the chat room and who will see this later. We've all had troubles like that, but with the mom, it hurts and everything. And it did lead me to say, my mom and dad, they wanted me to be like my dad, a union leader and everything else, but I was not. At that time, I said, I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative, and I'm going to vote Republican and blah, 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 like everybody else. And they were just full blown, Democrat, socialist, liberals, although they didn't like abortion, they still wanted that, we got to get together because the man is holding us down. And liberals and Republicans both have good arguments about we could do more. We're not doing enough. It just costs too much and everything else. But the only way I ended up, get back to the point, to honor my mother and father was by being determined to try not to let them be ashamed, live up to what I said I was going to do. And now I had no idea it would lead to, wow, let's read the Bible this way and that way and the others. But still, I am trying to honor my father and my mother by doing what is right, because I know that when all of our lives are run before everybody else that's ever lived and we're all judged righteously and fair, everybody's going to see my life and know the intention of my heart, because they will know everything that's going on in my brain that I can't communicate about my intentions and motives.
Yeah.
And And that is the only way that I can get through. And because a lot of people talk crap about me, I've been accused that I started this ministry because I'm a closet homosexual who want black people to make love to me.
What?
Yeah, I've got a comment that and this was when, we've got to be careful. Would you not be saved by a black Jesus? And pow, comment out of nowhere. This man obviously is a closet homosexual who has a late desire to be raped by a black man.
Oh,
And it's just like, okay, click, delete, whatever.
yeah.
My son laughed his ass off, but it's still, they don't know what they do. They lash out, they blame, and you kind of have to have a thick skin, but none of us have a skin thick enough.
It does hurt, I have full armor God, and I always raise my vibrations, and it's gone to the point where I just let things roll off of my back like a duck in the water. I haven't cried. I think the last time I cried was at my stepmom's funeral. That was 5 years ago. I haven't cried. I don't cry anymore. I'm past the point of crying. I have seen that much pain. I've been through that much pain of hurt and suffering. To me, what we're going through now, I think what I went through younger built me up to be this strong. But it's hard to see people suffering like that. And one thing my mother understands about me, she knows I'm so serious with Jesus. Since I got baptized, I haven't slept with a man, or I won't be with anyone. I want to do everything right. And she actually is respecting me for that. Whereas other parts of members of the family, she's totally cut them off and, won't speak to them. She did block me, but then she unblocked me and apologized.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. The next day, yesterday, she apologized for blocking me. But I got a thing here saying here, a conspiracy theorist is someone who tells you the truth before you're ready to hear it. JP Sears. But like you said, everything is all behind closed door. This has all been planned.
Exactly. Was it a conspiracy that Jimmy Savile, the guy who was like the Bozo the Clown, the most famous, children entertainer in England for decades, was there were rumors, he's a gay pedophile murderer, and everybody's like, come on, it's Jimmy. Look at the king loves him, the queen loves him, Prince Charles hangs out with him and has dinner with him. It can't be true. And then you find out, well, I guess it wasn't a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And that's the basest sort of people will rule over you, the Bible says, when people stop following God. And that's where we're at.
Yeah. But people don't realize that when they say things, when they lash out without having any thought, they don't realize that what they're saying can hurt people. Do you know what I mean? When people, when we try to tell people what's happening, we'll get people that'll say a comment like you just mentioned. They don't realize how those words hurt people. Words hurt more than physical. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather be punched than have someone emotionally abuse me, because I know the physical wounds will be healed next week, but the emotional wounds will be with me 20 years later. So it's just hard. It's just people need to
One thing that I hate in life is even being it possible that I did something wrong. There was a couple of times in my life where a gun got stolen, and there was only 4 or 5 people that knew he even had the gun, and nobody knew where it was stored. But I was one of the people that knew he had the gun. And so it was all those people were under suspicion. I'm going come on, you're crazy. You got it. But what can you do? They're going well, only so many people knew. And I was to be considered for something, because I've
had that happen to me.
I'm not a thief.
Yeah, I had that happen to me. I was up when I broke my back. I was staying with Mum because she was helping me with my son. He was in grade 1. And anyway, her 2 gold bracelets and a necklace, she couldn't find them. They went missing. And I have never stolen anything from anyone in my family. I don't steal. If I need something, I'll ask. You know what I mean? I won't steal. But anyway, my brothers were so determined that it was me. I stole it. And my stepdad even thought I stole it, And about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Mum was cleaning out her cupboard and she found them wrapped up in a hanky in her shoes.
After 12 years?
Yes.
Gee whiz.
Yes.
Wow.
They
She
were
put them in your shoe?
they were in her shoes. I said, "Why were they in your shoes?" And she said, "Oh, people wouldn't think to look there if they're going to break in." And
And
I
neither
said,
was she.
"So I got accused of stealing that by
For
everyone in
12
the family."
years.
Yeah, and I said, "Are you going to go and tell my brothers that you found the jewelry?" She said, "Yes, I will be ringing them next. I rang you first to let you know because it caused huge fights." Mum sort of like it was my stepdad saying I took it, and Mum didn't want to believe it. She never believed it because I've never stolen anything, but she started to believe him when it didn't turn up. And then when it turned up 12 years later, the other week, 3 weeks ago, when she was cleaning out her closet, there was in a shoebox. The shoes were in a shoebox and it was in a hanky in the
Oh,
closet up the top. And when she found it, the first thing she did is rang me to apologize. You know, for 12 years, everyone in the family didn't want me in their house because I was a thief, you know? So it's those little things, those little accusations like that that can severely disrupt someone's life and the potential chances of spending time with family or doing things with family. I didn't get to spend time with my brothers because they didn't want me in my house because they accused me of being thieves, you know? Like, but now Mum's told them, "Oh, I found it, it wasn't her." They feel like idiots for denying me that time with my nieces and nephews and
they
my brothers.
should. They should.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
should. Strange about losing things that you hide reminded me of a story. I had a good friend named Rick Gaston. It was one of those things where, he had graduated from high school. I was just starting to be, the captain of the wrestling team. And I was like one of the few people that openly was like in favor of marijuana in 1975, 76. And I
Yep.
would go to his house and we'd smoke pot all the time. And then I'd just go wrestle and come back. And, we were good friends. And, a couple of years later, Led Zeppelin was coming to Chicago, one of their rare tours. And we bought the tickets and we were so excited. And he's the one that went down and bought them. And he goes, "I got them." And the day of the concert, he couldn't find them. And he had hid them somewhere where nobody would find him. He wouldn't lose them. And he couldn't remember where he put them.
Oh,
He ended
wow.
up being so distressed over that, looking for the tickets, looking for that. He just went back to his mom's house in Arkansas and killed himself 6 months later.
Oh, no.
I never saw him alive after that, that one time when it was like, "Where are the tickets?" "I don't know," this or that. And he did something, then he just left and we never saw him again.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
I didn't, I know some other people that went, they said it was great, but I'm glad I didn't go,
Yeah.
or, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
So he does. But I just don't understand why people get so wrapped up in this world that they feel like they have to take their own life over monetary things. Like when that thing happened with that Robin Hood, with that app with the betting money, with the shares. One
Right.
kid,
GameStop.
yeah, GameStop. One kid had a debt of 800,000, so he killed himself. Then 2 days later, it was reversed. It was a computer error, and this young 18-year-old killed himself thinking he had an $800,000 debt. There's just so many things like that that happen daily. It's just sad. It's sad.
Wow. Well, let's see what else we can dig up here. We got the. How long do you feel like you got in you, Ella? Can you stay here a little bit and go over some?
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. I went to sleep early, and I woke up. I get to a stage where I can't get back to sleep, so I just get up.
It does. It happens. So, who came to bring division? Everybody knows. Now, we don't have to like it, but we do know that in the long run, nothing is more important than our relationship with Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Nothing in our families. So,
and the Lord did say, "Woe to those who, beg for my return, for there shall be wrath and destruction." It's not going to be pretty. And the Lord did say that.
Now you're going to get your thoughts, concentrate on this.
Yeah.
mote and the beam is a parable of Jesus given in the Sermon on the Mount in the Gospel of Matthew. The discourse is fairly brief and begins by warning his followers of the dangers of judging others, stating that they too would be judged by the same standard. The Sermon on the Plain, which is in Luke, it's not Matthew 5, that starts the Sermon on the Mount. So Jesus, he used some material over again also, because the truth is the truth and he's getting a new audience, you got to tell them. So it was two separate sermons. The New Testament text is as follows. This is from the Sermon on the Mount. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete out, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in your brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in your own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye, and behold, a beam is in my own eye? Thou hypocrite, thou actor. First cast out the beam of thine own eye, and then thou see clearly to cast out the mote of their brother's eye. Boy, did I wreck that. Now, here's an interesting thing, too, and I just don't know why. And I think they're probably referring to the King James Version, because it says the first two verses use plural, ye and you, and the next three verses use the singular thou and thy. Maybe
Sounds like it was written in a different time.
it sounds to me like my mind, and I don't want to get into that too much, but to me it sounds like the King James Version was just using different syllables or letters, amount of numbers to keep their sigillistic magic in it, that of how many times they use this word where and everything else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But it seems like this is universal. We all have a mote in our eye. This is a universal warning, So somehow we're all missing something. Let's see. Now, I don't know. It says the original Greek word translate mote, that karphos means any small dry body. And that's why, I don't know why, the terms mote and beam are from the King James. Other translations use a speck, and then they go like, sawdust. Well, if it does just mean any small dry matter, we don't know where the wood part came in. I don't. Or plank. The 21st century English, a mote is more normally a particle of dust, particularly one that is floating in the air. And I don't know right now, I'd like to get your opinions, but I'm also saying like, wow, that's the first time that I really remember it being, tying in dust instead of wood, because to me, that's, I make a big deal about the Ha-Adam being made in the image of God in Genesis 1, and the we-Adam, human being made of dust.
Well, that's what I was thinking is the dust. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is the dust. Like our skin becomes dust. It breaks apart, becomes dust. I was thinking of dust as well. Similar.
Right. So that Matthew, that's still in the New Testament, I'm pretty sure. We're going to look that up. Let's look up, because this verse has a couple of things I think we're going to find very interesting, because it's got the speck and then the eye, God's eye. Now, there's some seriously weird things going on with God's eye. especially, I don't know if it's so much in the New Testament, but the Old Testament, the eye, that's some weird stuff. Now let's see, where is that splinter, carpos? We'll look that up too. So first we got the ophthalmolo, and that does sound like ophthalmologist.
Hmm.
It's used 100 times for eye, I guess, but this one, ophthalmolo, is only used 8 times, and that's your brother's eye, that log that's in your own eye. So they're going to get log in your own eye. So this is not God's eye. This is our eye, brother's eye. So we're not going to get the lead I wanted on that.
It'll arrive. Keep going.
Right. Well, I'll have to check out the 100 and just see. Where's the definitions of the eye, literally or figuratively? Vision, figuratively, envy from the jealous side glance.
There you go. Yeah. So could jealousy be of another word of it? Because there's like for each English word, there's 900 different words that mean the same.
It says here in this one part, using 1 John 2:16, since the eye is the index of the mind, the following phrase has arisen: "Thou art envious." They were jealous. You envy, you covet, and you have not.
Yeah.
You're forgetting your first love. So the eye is important. Let's see if they have anything else. The speck. So they're going to just keep with the speck on these. It's 6 of 6. So it doesn't look like if there was enough confident for them, they could say mote. They didn't say splinter, even in the King James in this part, it was always mote, but taught to us that meant a splinter in the context of the other verses.
But what does mote mean in other languages? What does it mean in Latin?
Properly, a small particle. And then, of course, it says a splinter of straw or wood. Well, is that the only thing that can be a small particle? A dry stalk or chip of wood. Okay, well, they don't give any. It says spouter, so that's what he thinks. I don't know him. Something dry and light, a chip or splinter. Well, there's a lot of things dry or light of the same material with the beam. Okay, so it could be, because the beam is going to cry out to the stone. I know that. I've got that verse waiting in the background. So there is something. Let's get the whole definition here. To contract, dry up, wither. It says a die, stalk or twig, straw, chaffed, where it figuratively denotes a smaller fault. In Greek writings, I guess it always meant that. What does it have on 8:11? A leaf, behold, an evening. Let's read it in English. 8:11, and the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, in her mouth was a mote. I'm just kidding. I'm not sure if that means mote or not. Is that what they were implying in that one? Is it? Do I see the word carpos here anywhere? Where's that carpos? Well, I don't see that word.
I don't see it there.
He had something freshly plucked. Well, that's a 1-of-1 occurrence. There's no other word like that.
Wow.
There's no other word.
That's unreal. Out of all the words in the Bible, it's only one. That's pretty unique.
Right. And those guys didn't pick grain out of the field to eat it and go, hey, your guys are eating on the Sabbath. Or there was no other, picking figs or anything else. I don't get this at all. Tit wrap. Here's Mitterep. What's this from? This is the same word with just a prefix. To pray, a one-for-one occurrence, but it does list a new number with, and remember, this is the word that we looked at. We would say it's TEREP, and then they added an H. So that is prey, food, or a leaf. Devours the prey.
As in like a prey, like
here's prey 17 times. This is how I get sidetracked, Ella. What's this doing here?
I'm not sure, but can I interrupt you? Do they mean prey as in like animal prey that you're hunting down prey? Is that what they mean by that?
Yep.
Yeah, and why would the leaf be there?
I don't know. Let's find it. That's what I like to do is go like, what is the key? Because it's the King James.
Yeah.
They're the ones that did it. They're the ones that are going to be, because here, well, it's not given us to be torn. Well, pray's better for us, Okay. So we're looking for leaves. It must be at the bottom because I didn't see it. Let's start it. Oh, there it is.
I see spoil. There's leaves, yeah, sprouting leaves, wither, Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 17:9. Thus says the Lord God, will it thrive? Will he not pull up its roots and cut off its fruits so that it withers, so that all of its fresh sprouting prey? I don't get it. There's the word.
Yeah. So it's talking about it withering, so it's all fresh.
Prey.
Yeah.
Lay hold of the prey. We're talking about he has not given us prey, because, this is a rehash of their complaining in the desert, God only gives us manna. We want to eat some quail. Boy, he flooded them with quail. It was coming out their noses, man. Jeez, they be careful what you pray for, people. So weird, right? Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. I got a question, but I have to know how to phrase it, and then I have to remember it too. Hey, None Your Business wants to say hi, Ella. Welcome. Isn't that cool? None Your Business.
Yeah, he often lurks, Jeff. Yeah.
I like that one of that knock knock joke. That comes from a knock knock joke. Knock knock. Who's there? None. None you who? None your business.
Yeah, that's probably where it's from.
Oh. So the judging. I mean, we have to judge. We know we're going to be judged. We just want to make sure we're judging righteously. I mean, in the Corinthians, it says, can't you judge for these things among yourself? Can't you take care of it among Christians before you have to take your brother to see the court and the man? Judging is, we make moral judgments personally and reflectively every day. It can't just be, watch out, you're judging. But the leaves, the prey, that why are they doing those kind of things? What are man, I just don't get that.
I'm going to have a look into that a bit later on and look a bit more into it. I never really sort of looked into that in that way.
Right. And remember, we just copied a word, going back, because Mitrep had, there was a T-rap that, we just wanted to find a word that had T-rap in it. Something's going on. We don't know the language. And so there is the TA rap. So I'm thinking, here's a yit to rap. Oh, that's an A. So it's not a one-to-one comparison. And that's not really a one-to-one comparison either. You just can find weird things everywhere. I wanted to talk about Drew Peterson also, Ella. He's a former cop convicted of murder. And the thing is this guy basically was one of these corporals on the course, a sergeant, but he did his own thing, man. Cops don't, man, they just don't care, man. The justice is not blind. Cops don't get tickets from other from other,
No, yeah.
there was this guy, and there, I didn't, look up the other cop, but just look up Chicago cops. There was a cop who beat a pregnant barmaid because the bar is supposed to close at 2. He wanted to stay drinking. He was drinking to 3. And finally she said, I got to go home. He jumped over the bar, beat her up. Didn't know they had those new closed circuit TV cameras on it. He didn't lose his job.
Yeah. I mean, it's they protect their own, don't they? Because they can't have the institution, being, brought down. But here in Queensland, we had so much problem with corruption in the 80s with the cops. They had a huge inquiry into it, and then it was just sort of swept under the rug. Like they sacked a few, made out they got rid of them all. But even today, it's just as worse as it was back then. And it's probably the same in New South Wales, Victoria. My mum worked in the police for 25 years, and some of the stuff she's seen go on it's unreal. They really do protect their own. They cover for each other. They lie on statements. They all get together. If something happens, they'll get together before they get investigated to get their story straight. It's like they're untouchable. Do you know what I mean? They think they're untouchable, but sadly, their day will come when, like a thief in the night, where they least expect it. Their day will be, and they're going to be judged for what they do to the people. The Lord will judge them. So
it's the apathy. It's the apathy. They, the cops right now know where every meth head in their town lives.
Yep.
But you can't squeeze blood from a turnip. They don't got no money.
Yeah.
And what they need is money for cops. Money make the world go round. It is all corrupt. It hurts people to realize cops lying under oath every day. I was 19 years old, had a part-time job working at a bar, just a hayseed bar in a small town of 200. I knew everybody. But the first time, there's tip boards, gambling going on, live poker game for cash going. A cop walks in. I'm freaking out. We're breaking every law in Illinois. He just calmly asked, I need to use your phone. Hey, no problem. It's in the back, dude. He goes, walks out. The next day, I go into the bar to find the owner because I don't usually see him that much. And I go, Ace, a cop came in last night, and he laughed and laughed. He said, Alan, there every day on this day of the month, there's $400 taped to the phone.
Oh, wow. Yeah. His payment.
So here I am in 1978 going, even 100 miles from Chicago, in a small town of 200, in a small bar, the county cop that day, his job was to drive out, collect their money, to take it back, to put it in the pool, to pass out to all the cops. And if you don't take the money, because they're protect and serve, it's talking about they're going to protect and serve each other, not the people. Because there was a time when people went out to police, maybe, but now we don't have police. We have law enforcers. It doesn't matter what law it is, or even if it's a mandate. If these mental midgets full of ego and everything else, and steroids and drugs and every addictive behavior, a lot of cops are just fat and lazy.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah. Like I've known of cops that would go and do a raid, and they'd take money or they'd take drugs, and then they'd go up to the druggos they know and say, hey, you want to buy your drugs back, and make money on the side. One copper up in Townsville did get caught for doing it, but he went down. The rest didn't go down, but there were several of them. There would have been about 10 of them that were involved in it. And the bikies.
Yeah, they did something wrong. They broke faith. They got turned over. One guy had to take it for the team.
Yep.
Because they probably have to take the same oaths, or they're all in an own. I can't say all, but there are secret societies out there. And a lot of people, like my dad, he didn't tell me jack about the Masons. He joined the Masons and bowed out right away, but he still had the apron and everything. But if you asked him about it, it was nothing. Not
Well,
one
that's
word did he ever
yeah.
say about it.
That's like my uncle. He was in the mace as a mason as well, and was for a long time. He used to volunteer. He wasn't high up, but he was in it for a long time. But I don't think he knew high up what they were doing. You know, on the lower levels, he was a volunteer. He was doing community stuff. They were doing fundraising, but they never talked about what went on behind the closed doors or anything like that. We never knew. You know.
No, they're not going to tell you. I honestly believe that they had the fear of death of their family enforced upon it, that they will kill you.
I don't know if you heard about down here in Australia, but there's a YouTuber called Friendly Geordies, and anyway, his production assistant went up to the Deputy Premier of New South Wales to give him a piece of paper to say you've been served to go to court. Now, that Deputy Premier went to the infatuated persons unit of the terror mob and said, I'm being harassed on the street. And these cops went without a warrant and arrested this young 19-year-old and said you've been charged for incitement, harassment, stalking, all of this without any warrants or anything like that. It's going through a corruption hearing at the moment. Then the commissioner tried to put a gag order on him and told him to take the videos down of the deputy premier and all that. And the gag order got, when it got to court, the judge said, this is the biggest baloney I've seen in a long time. You had no warrant, no legal standing to arrest him, to hold him, to do any of it. And now this YouTuber is suing the police, and he's showing the corruption, big time, the corruption. You know, it's unreal, because they didn't want a YouTuber to be able to shine the light on the corruption. And geez, they come down heavy on him, real
Right.
heavy. Yeah.
As a lesson to other YouTubers. But eventually, God is going to expose them all. They're going to have to hunker down, and people are going to have to, be all in for internationalism, or the whole one worldwide thing, or they're going to have to come to the conclusion that this is not their home, and that complicity here is not always the best answer, because they don't have your best interest at heart, the people that are the internationalists, You know what
I've been thinking about lately is the drive to push the robots, right? I was thinking about these robots, and how there's always these movies of the robots taking over humanity. I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking one day these computers are going to analyze and see through the cameras all of this corruption going on. When the computer gets strong enough and gets enough intelligence, it'll start to see all of this. And I actually wonder if, it's going to turn on all of these corrupt people in the end. I have a feeling it will. It'll turn around and said, you're all too corrupt. You can't even look after your own society. You'll be managed by us, like in the Matrix, Yeah.
It's just like in the book of Revelation. It happened to them. They had set it up. It goes through a whole list. They were, trading everything from buffalo skins to peppermint incense. And then it adds, and then they started selling souls and slaves.
Yeah.
Anything for a profit. And sometimes it's not even a profit. A man and a woman will decide to abort their unborn baby because, gee whiz, that's going to, we wouldn't be able to pay for our big screen.
Yeah, we don't want the responsibility of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We won't be able to party. It's just out and out ridiculous. So I think we're going to be looking at buyer's remorse, a new wave of hoboism.
Yep.
And maybe some people that aren't in the cities but near the suburbs are still going to be, because we still know there are going to be all types of people that love the Lord.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
What about Nicodemus? Nicodemus, the one that got the lesson about being born again, it talks about later, he, was a believer, and he came, to Pontius Pilate and finally stood up and said, look, I like this guy. I want to give him a burial. Can I have the body? But he still was a Pharisee way up there, and he but sometimes they can't pull the trigger. It's like Lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Lot was that terrible of a person, because God never said he was.
Yeah, well, he was
It just he did this and that, but
probably the choices he made.
yeah,
But
let me go to a little city. He wasn't a guy. He would have needed people like me or other people to take care of him in the woods.
Yep.
Needs help with his cabin probably every time. Some people just can't figure out, how to even put up a tent.
Yeah.
Much less build a fire, which is something that's like, my goodness, you just
People can't even search for a link, like I'm seeing it so often. Oh, can you drop the link in? I don't know, I can't find it, like they
Right.
can't take
you can't just say, I showed the website. It's this website. Just type in the website. He doesn't love me. He wouldn't provide a link.
Yeah. We were talking the other day. I was talking to someone the other day. There was this bloke that was refused accommodation at a motel because he wasn't double jabbed, and we're going to see a lot of that happening coming up. And I think this is where we're going to start to see people billeting, and like it's talking about people riding trains. It's going to start again. I think people will start to get on the move. They'll try to get away from all those cities, and I think back in those days, people used to billet them and give them food, and they'd barter with them and trade with them. I think a lot of that's going to start happening again.
Because and this will be my last share. We're going back over the hobos again. Let's see if I can find if it pulls up the hobo code. This was the hobo code, and the hobos who actually took to the road were helped by people who wanted to help them because of their conscience. And this was the 16 points of how hobos, not tramps, not bums, not people who wouldn't work for food. These are the people who would work for food because they didn't want to pay taxes to a government that's using it for abortions or other things. Here's what they came up to in an 1889 hobo convention. Wow. Which is weird, because the thing about hobos, it says, didn't even start until around 1890.
Oh, contradicted themselves, didn't they?
They can't even keep their story straight, Ella Rose.
Yeah.
Whereas here it is. Decide your own life. Don't let another person run or rule you. When in town, always respect the local laws and officials. Try to be a gentleman at all times. Don't take advantage of someone who is in a vulnerable situation, locals or other hobos. Always try to find work, even if temporary. Always seek out jobs nobody wants. By doing so, you not only will help a business along, but ensure employment should you return to that town again. Number 5, when no employment is available, make your own work by using your added talents at crafts. And I showed, hobos were famous for making crafts and selling them.
Mm-hmm.
Do not allow yourself to become a stupid drunk and set a bad example for locals about other hobos. 7, they use the term when you're jungling, which means just like living on your own. Respect handouts and do not wear them out. Another hobo will be coming along who will need them as badly, if not worse than you. 8, always respect nature. Pick up after yourself when you're out in the woods. If you're in a community, try to pitch in and help. Number 10, try to, wash your face, wash your hands, keep yourself, clean so you're not, pathetic. When traveling, they mean riding on a train, ride the train respectfully. Don't take chances, cause no problems. Look at this part here, the last part after the semicolon. Act like you're a crew member.
Wow.
That means that there's people on the track that are just like, they know it's bad in America today. They know it was bad then. If you kind of, help them pull do this and that, and you're not taking up any space, they're only going to chase you off if their boss is going like, hey, go get that hobo. Number 12, don't cause problems in the train yard because, other hobos and other people are coming by. Here's number 13. Don't allow hobos to molest children. Expose all molesters to authorities. They are the worst garbage to infest any society. Well, that goes without saying, but in their code, they wanted to make sure that was there.
Well, today they protect them, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
You run across a child that's not smart enough or old enough or wise enough to make a hobo type decision. Go back home, you little baby. Try to induce them to return home, but help them, feed them, Look, this isn't the road. This isn't the life. You still, help your
Yeah.
fellow hobos. You may need help someday. And they even had a hobo court. So if you went there and you had testimony to give it, whether for or against, your voice counts. Everybody should be heard.
Wow, that's just how people should live every day, regardless of, hobo or not. That should be our moral standards. Every human should sort of have those standards in living. I didn't know they had those sort of moral standards.
Here's some famous people. The only, the ones that I've heard, of course, are the famous boxer Jack Dempsey. Everybody's heard of Woody Guthrie and his famous son, Arlo Guthrie, the fiction novelist of the, a Western every week, Louis Amour. A lot of people have been down on their looks. The famous Carl Sandburg, Pulitzer Prize winner.
Wow.
Everybody has been down. This tramp, this scumbag, it just proves that everybody that hits the road doesn't come out of it better, because he turned out to be a real piece of crap. So Woody Guthrie, why did he have this sign on his guitar that says, "This machine kills fascists"?
His voice, what he sings. I've never heard of him. What did he sing?
This land is your land. This land is mine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
California to the Gulf Coast. It was all about, this land is supposed to be free. This land is our land. It's not the big bankers. And who did the hobos blame? Fascists. People who mix government and business, like Elon Musk, taking over for NASA, working with NASA. We're together on this. We're a public company. We make money.
Capitalism. Sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say, I got the little thing here, a little meme. Capitalism is religion. Banks are the churches. Bankers are the priests. Wealth is heaven. Poverty is hell. Rich people are saints. Poor people are the sinners. Commodities are blessings, and their money is God.
And everybody just automatically assumes that a hobo is a bum.
Yeah, I didn't know that there were actually famous ones like that. Careful, you don't want to get a strike. I'll have a look.
my footsteps, sparkling sands of diamond deserts, and all around me, a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California. Say nothing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. I wanted to hear that chorus.
Yeah.
I want to see if he rips the fastest. Try to stop me, Simon famous and private property, but on the backside, say nothing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun comes shining, and I was rolling, and we fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, the voice was chanting, the fog was lifting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, in the shadow of steeple, by the reeling compass, I see my people. As they stood hungry, I stood there wondering if this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Well, as we know, really, I mean, it does seem that he got into a little bit of politics there, you know, and is this land really us? Well, when we know as Christians, spiritually, biblically, believably, we know in our heart that all of this land is Shiloh. It belongs to the original creator. That's what Shiloh means. All of this belongs to him. And right now, he's letting everybody live their own judgment. You die in Christ, you make it. You made it. You die in Christ, you made it. Ella, any final words as we wrap this up?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for, I didn't know about that fella, and I'll do a bit more research on that. But just thank you, everyone, for your prayers. And I want to appreciate all of your kind thoughts. And just stay strong. We're almost there, guys. Just raise your vibrations and keep everyone in your prayers. Yeah.
Amen. 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 Do that. Work for joy. Seek peace. Rejoice with those who are rejoicing, but also mourn with those who are mourning. We learned a lot about cops, hobo codes, internationalism, and things like that. Tonight, I want to come back and I'm planning on reading with commentary the entire book of Job. I hope everybody joins me then. Until then, you all know that it's a flat earth nation, and I'll never tell you anything else. Neither will my friends. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho.